Now that we have prepared our ribs and that is cooking, we're going to go back to some of the other ingredients and continue the process of making the pho. And one thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bake our ginger and our onion just a bit. So we're going to heat up the oven to 350 degrees. And we're going to cook these for about 15 minutes. And you know, the time that it takes to cook this depends on the size of the onions, the size of the ginger a little bit. So if it's bigger, we'll do it a little bit longer, and if it's small, we'll do it a little bit shorter, but roughly about 15 minutes, and it'll soften those things up. And when we continue cooking them and putting them into the pho later, it'll give it just the right amount of flavoring that we want to blend with the other ingredients. And now we're going to get our pound of corned beef hash ready. And the way we eat pho in Vietnam, most of the time we call it pho thai, which means that we cut the beef into really tiny little strips, really thin strips, and then we actually don't even put it into the pho until we're ready to eat it, and then we let the hot water in the soup cook it. And so if it's really thin, then the water will cook it in like just a couple minutes. So it's actually, the meat will be cooking while we're eating it. And this is the most popular way to have pho. And again, it's called pho thai. But some people don't like it this way. They want to cook the meat completely, and that's called pho chien. And when we make pho chien, then we're going to go ahead and just cook our slices of pho. So it really just depends on your preference. But the most popular way to eat it is to eat it with the meat put into it raw and let it cook. It doesn't take very long to cook when it's really thin like this. So we're going to cook a little bit of it and make it the chin style, but we're also going to just cut some up for the pho thai and to have it put in raw and let the water cook it. So we're going to cut a few pieces off of that just to show you this, and now I'm going to go through cutting some of the vegetables and other ingredients. So we're going to cut a little of the saw leaf herb and the cilantro, and the basil we don't even need to cut. We're just going to put in whole pieces, and these ingredients are used partially for flavoring in the soup, and then also we're going to put some on the side so that we can add it to the soup while we eat, just to flavor it to your taste. So some of we put in and we cook with it, and some of we put on the side. So I'm going to cut the saw leaf herb up really small. And then if we want to have some extra pieces to put in for taste afterwards, if we want more, we're going to cut it into these big pieces that are about an inch to an inch and a half long. And then later on we can throw some extra saw leaf herb into the pho if we really like that flavor and we want it to be stronger. And also it adds some crunchiness to the soup and just has more fullness in the soup, more of a body. So we're going to do the same thing with the cilantro. We're going to cut it up real small. And cilantro is another key ingredient. It really makes the flavor taste the way that it should, so you really can't skip out on the saw leaf herb or the cilantro. These are really important flavorings to have in the pho, otherwise it won't taste right. And we're going to cut this line like so. Basically, we're cutting it into quarters. And now that those are ready, we go to the next thing. And with the lime, we can just put in as much as you want. If you like lime, put in a lot. If you don't like it as much, just put in just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to cut just a little bit of this up into small slices once again. Trying to cut our fingers off. Now we're going to get this one ready. So we got most of our herbs all cut and ready to go. Cut the peppers. Cut them at a diagonal like this, and then it looks really nice in the presentation when you present the bowl of pho, and also this is the right size to put in there. And you can make your pho really spicy if you want to put in a lot of this, or just get a little bit of a heat, just put in like 1 or 2 pieces. And again, we'll put that on the side, then you can choose how you want to flavor your pho and how spicy you want it and all that stuff by yourself. So we're going to use about 1/2 of a big onion like this. And we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to put some of it in the pho when we cook it, and then we're going to leave some on the side that you can add more to the soup as you like. But we're going to want to cut these really thin slices of onion. And it'll look better and it'll taste better like this. We don't want to have big giant chunks of onion. And so, you want to have a really sharp knife for a lot of this stuff to make sure you're getting nice thin slices of the corned beef and of the onions and everything. So again, we need 1 pound of the corned beef half and 1.5 pounds of the other meat. And then the last thing we do in this video is we're going to put the pho in water and let it sit there for about 40 minutes to get nice and soft. And then we're ready for the next step.